Expect the unexpected, Rye. It's Phil and Rye on Listen Up, Maryland, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland. Ryan, we're going to have to do stuff a little bit backwards this time. I was overwhelmed at the amount of support, Ryan, the love that we felt from that last video. I tell you, that's a grand welcoming for for Lou Lopez Senecal, and we can't thank everybody enough for coming through. And boy, did they come through on that last video.
Yeah, I mean, everybody must be excited for Lou to come in. I know everybody wanted a transfer this season, and yeah, appreciate all the support. Thank you to everybody who commented and liked and watched the video. We appreciate it.
Hey, look, we understand nobody's perfect. Please excuse us, Ryan. We'll tell everybody that is that much. We want to give you these UConn fans. They come through so much. The fan base, everybody, actually, not just that fan base, but everybody comes through and sees us on these videos. We just want to say we deeply apologize for the mistakes that we did make in that last video. Some names that were wrong, Ryan. So I know that you wanted to correct yourself, and now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just start off. I think I had something written down here. It was Amari DeBerry. I was getting DeBerry confused with Aubrey Griffin. So, just to finish off what I was saying in that last video, with the UConn Huskies, should be, Amari DeBerry should be in her sophomore year. And then, of course, Aubrey Griffin coming off that back surgery. I believe she'll be a senior this year. So hopefully we'll get to see both of them on the court this season. Yeah.
So again, it was Aubrey Griffin that was out for the season after the back surgery. Boy, they let us know that, and we appreciate it. We appreciate it. There was many new faces, Ryan, many new names that you and I have never seen before come through on the last episode. Again, we really appreciate it. Some of the comments were funny. Others had me in hot debates, and that's what we're going to go over today. So since that's your all's treat, since you all came through on that last video so much, a lot of people, Ryan, came through. We're going to actually go over the comments on the last video, and then we're going to get into the Ayanna Patterson story and her coming to UConn, what we expect out of this bright player, Ryan. I mean, I guess she's ranked the highest out of the class of 2022, because I know we covered the class of 23, and now this is the last player that we're covering in this series.
Yeah, I think Ice Brady was ranked 5th, and then of course Ayanna is ranked 4th. So should be exciting. Can't wait to talk about her.
All right, Ryan. Here we go. This is good. This is going to be good. This is going to be fun. Let's start off with Percha Canopy. He left two different comments. He left. He goes, I don't understand why you guys look past Caroline. Your list always stops at Paige, AZ, and Dorothy. You ignore Caroline almost completely. Lou looks like a scorer, 40% career behind the arc. It's not clear if she plays defense to UConn's level, grabbing just 2 rebounds per game, given the league she played in, also seems a bit concerning. I'm glad he brought that up, Ryan. Again, we did talk about that. We went into detail. It's kind of like a smaller school. You're one of your smaller schools like Mount St. Mary's. You get into March Madness, you're getting kicked out in the first or second round. We understand that. With that said, hey, you don't want to start putting the pressure on the hot debate about, can Gino get this player ready? Can he, because there was another comment, we'll get into it. Can this legendary head coach get this player ready to step up even more, since she's coming from a different school? We understand that, Ryan. And, when I looked over, I'm so glad people came through and crushed us on some of the comments. It gets us better as we go along. Right, so again, we definitely appreciate it. It's all love. That's all that is, Ryan. It's all love. But, I thought about it more and more. And with the positions, we probably got the lineup looking at the comments prediction wise. The lineup's probably all thrown off and wrong. But guess what? We have that many more weeks and months to predict that starting lineup once basketball comes back. This is way too early. And the fact of the matter, Ryan, is I think it was great that people were debating with us, saying we were wrong, and they were having other debates on that last video only because, hey, all of a sudden it looks like the depth might finally be there for UConn. So now, isn't that a good thing? You're starting to argue which players are on the bench, which players deserve to start in that starting five.
Yeah, that's definitely a great problem to have. I mean, I think it's a lot better to have, a deep bench and be arguing over the players who should be starting, who should be sitting, debating, who should get how many minutes on the court. But like you said, it's definitely a long off season, long way to go until that first game. But yeah, I mean, I think it's way better than having, a five straight off the bat. I don't think it'd be good right now if we'd be sitting here saying this is going to be the five, and then these will be the players on the bench. I'd much rather be debating with you, what the starting five lineup is going to be come their first game of the regular season.
Yeah, and with that said, I took a look at it, and I understand where they're coming from. Some of the other stars on this roster, but do you think for any second a player like Lou Lopez is coming to this school and with their mindset, they're saying, okay, Ryan, I'm transferring to UConn, but I'm going to be a bench player.
Yeah, I mean,
it does not make any sense to me to have that mindset. Why do you have that kind of mindset? No, I understand there's other players probably better than you on the roster, but why are you coming to a new team with the mindset, okay, Gino's going to play me from the bench, that's it? No.
Yeah, and no player that comes to, really any school should have that kind of mindset. But like we've said before, especially with UConn, everybody that comes in, all the recruits, it's the best of the best, and that's why UConn is so successful every single year. So it's definitely a challenge for whoever comes, whether it's new recruits out of high school or new transfers from any other school. But I'm sure that, the players, they definitely have to have the mindset that they're going to give it their all. They're going to show Gino what they're capable of and try to get used to the system and make sure they can get the maximum amount of minutes they deserve and try to get into that starting lineup.
And again, these hot debates, we love it because the more comments, the more people that come through and support us, the bigger the conversation is, right? The bigger the hot debates come. So again, with that said, I think the biggest takeaway, and you can give me yours, and then I'll read you off some more comments so we can hear from Ryan more. The biggest takeaways that I got after reading, and again, I loved reading through every single if we had time, we would cover every single person that left their original comment, but it's just not enough time. With that said, the biggest takeaway I had, people, Ryan, when it comes just talking specifically sports here, people I don't think they really open their mind up enough and expect the unexpected. I just think that that's something that some people really, and again, we could talk about other things in life they go on, but I'm specifically talking about sports in general. I really, as I wanted to talk to you today, I don't think that people enough times expect the unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree with you on that. And back to the, Ducharme, there's so many players on this roster to try to go over before the regular season, even though there's so much time. But, I'm not trying to forget about any player on this roster, but I think just going back to last season, it seemed like Gino trusted AZ a lot more than he did Ducharme. Ducharme is very, very talented. I think she's just as good as what AZ is, just as good as a player. But I think just going back to last season, AZ got more minutes. She was in the starting lineup. And the championship game, I don't think really Ducharme got a whole lot of minutes. Or even through that March Madness tournament, it seemed like Ducharme didn't get very many minutes. Definitely is not as much as AZ. So that's why I had AZ in the starting lineup over Ducharme.
Here we go. Let's go ahead and go with, hey, what's up, man? DJ Suge Bryant. We appreciate him coming through. So here we go. This actually helped us both. It helped me out a lot. I don't know about Ryan. He goes Page point guard, Caroline in the wing, AZ in the wing, Dorka in the center, Edwards forward, and then the bench. He had Mule as a point guard, Griffin, DeBerry, Brady, Patterson, and Lou. DeBerry did not have back surgery, bro. It was Aubrey Griffin who had back surgery. This dude never mentions Caroline either. Get this clown off of there. Come on, dude. Get in tune.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that breakdown of the starting lineup because that does make it a lot easier. I think it's a toss-up between Nika Mule and Caroline Ducharme for the wing spot. I like Caroline on offense, but I think Nika Mule brings so much defensively. And she was a defensive player of the Big East Conference last season. So her intensity on the floor, she might not score a lot. I think she's a very good passer. She leads the team well, much like Paige does on the court. But I just think I'd rather have defense intensity over Caroline's scoring ability. But it should be interesting once we get closer to the start of the season to try to figure out what the starting lineup should be. But yeah, him going over that list of players, it's going to be a pretty deep UConn Huskies team. I think it might be one of the deepest we've had in these past 3 or 4 years or so. So it should be exciting.
Hey, and again, get in contact with us, DJ Shoes, Brian. We appreciate you coming through, man. And again, without you guys coming through, we don't improve. We don't get better. So we appreciate you coming through. And we want to give them, like I said, we want to give everybody quality of videos, high quality videos. It's you all that make up this UConn women's basketball sports podcast. So without you guys, it's nothing. So again, we appreciate you coming through. And we want to hear more from DJ Suge Bryant, right? So how about the next one here? Goes Steve Ho. Seriously considering Lou as a possible starter without a mention of Caroline. Who are these guys? What about Aubrey? Jeez.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm at to make sure to bring up Caroline more often because it seems like she's definitely a fan favorite. So
well, and we did. We saw flashes of obviously of how she played last year. Yes, she is an all-star in this league, Ryan, but not to cut you off. But again, I think it's important to realize, and what I go back to saying, expect the unexpected, Ryan. When you had this new transfer coming to UConn to Stores, how do we not know that she's going to steal the spotlight from somebody and just find her way in the starting lineup and steal the show? You don't know. We've been preaching that. Ryan, tell everybody how long we've been preaching, or at least Phil has. You don't know.
Yeah, and you never know. And that's, that pretty much proved our point we were making all last season because of all the different starting lineups. And I'm sure if, UConn had this deep of a team last season, it would have helped them tremendously, especially in terms of what we've been saying throughout. We've been going over all these recruits, especially with Ice Brady and today with Ayanna coming in. UConn's going to be so much more a deeper team, especially in terms of their length and their size down low. It's going to help them so much. But I mean, there's so many different players you can plug into the starting lineup. And even if there's not as many injuries, let's hope and pray that there's not as many injuries as there was last season. But I think even though if Gino, the first game has a starting lineup, maybe in the next couple of games he sees something he doesn't like out of Nika Mule, or if he plugs Aubrey Griffin, Amari DeBerry in, he could plug Lou in and out. There's so many different pieces he can move around for this season.
All right. How about Gary Roundtree, Ryan? Being real, a lot of comments out there. I like DeBerry. Let's see what she can do in June workout. Oh, we'll be all over that, covering that, huh? I like the new player coming, Lou, more help. But I say again, a strong big center that will take it, that would take you down low and shoot well, like South Carolina has Boston. Hey, I mean, look, there you go. So you have, I'm assuming this is a UConn fan. If not, I apologize. Ryan, it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow. But again, You win a championship, you start to compare your other players, or you want to have players like that championship team.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard to find somebody like Aaliyah Boston. I don't think you can really find somebody like her. There's really nobody else out her, out like her in college, women's college basketball. But I think there's some question marks about Aaliyah Edwards, especially from last season. She kind of struggled for a little bit, and then towards the end of the season, when UConn kind of got a starting lineup, kind of more down pat, and they started getting in their chemistry together. I feel like she kind of blended in with everybody and started getting a little chemistry and got her stuff going, moving in the right direction. But I think her and Dorka are really going to be the two big players this season for UConn, in terms of their size down low. But I think for Aaliyah, there's a lot of times she missed the easy shots. Her defense wasn't as good as we thought it could be during the season. But I think it's really important for Dorka to have that outside shot, and hopefully that'll help Aaliyah in some ways with their defense and rebounding ability.
Grobel is a regular on this podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. All love and support for him. I know he says the same for us. At least we hope so, huh? Grobel, thanks for coming through again. He leaves one short comment. Starters: Paige, Azzi, Ducharme, Edwards, Dorka. Look, I mean, the more I look into it, yeah, I mean, I have to admit, and I'm sure Ryan will, I have to admit a lot have them starting five, 1, 2, let's see, starters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got to admit, the more I look into it, yes, we probably butchered the starting lineup, the starting five of the last video. But again, it's fun to just predict. It's fun to predict. You obviously want to go with the top 5 players on the team. But a lot of the time, it's also a question of Gino. Now we hope that it stays the same starting 5, but it's also the question of Ryan. How many times do you shuffle the starting 5 in a season?
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully not as many times as last season, but I mean, it seems like everybody has Paige, Azzi, and Aaliyah Edwards in there, and Dorka as well. But it's still Dorka coming off the wrist surgery. We really don't know how she's going to look. So if she's not ready, maybe we see Aubrey Griffin coming off the back surgery, or Amari DeBerry. Possibly didn't really see a lot of her last season in her freshman year. And then, of course, Lou, we don't really know how she's going to look with the new, getting new teammates and coming into a new system. So if Dorka's not ready, there's a lot of players that Gino can put into her spot until he thinks that she's ready to compete. But I think it's a toss-up between Nika Mule and Caroline Ducharme. So I'm really interested who's going to get that third guard position in the starting lineup.
Yeah. So see, this is what I'll talk about. This is what we like to hear. Different. It's fun to predict different predictions. That's just my opinion. Because now I'm looking, Ryan, the disruptive one. He goes, starting lineup, guard Beckers, Fudd, Mule, Edwards, Uhas. So see, that's kind of different of what we just read. Paige, Azzi, Ducharme, Edwards, and Dorka. Is that a different 5? Beckers, Fudd, Mule, Edwards, Uhas.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I think really the main argument and discussion everybody's having is whether to play Ducharme or Nika Mule. So it's going to be a toss up.
Yeah, that's a video just for itself, huh? Because it sounds like you're starting to make a debate just on these 2 players. Let's go ahead and get into, hopefully I can cover 2 more without running out of time. Then we need to get into Ayanna Patterson. How about Iva came through again? We appreciate you coming through. She goes, I would say starting 5 are Mule, Beckers, Fudd, Edwards, Uhas. If Dorka isn't 100%, Ducharme could start. She is 6'2", who can shoot 3, post up, drive to the basket. I will go down, Ryan, to the end, to the last part of this comment. Also, with Nika starting, Paige can play off the ball and start to shoot from first quarter and not wait till the end of second quarter. Paige needs to be more aggressive from the start of shooting. Yeah, I mean, we talked about aggressiveness, but that's for Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we don't really know if Paige was 100% all last season throughout the tournament. But hopefully she will be, I'm sure she'll be ready for the start of this season. But yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But, it seemed like even if Paige is having a rough shooting night, what I like about her so much is she keeps on shooting. If she's having a really rough night, she'll keep on shooting the ball. She plays pretty solid defense, but she's such a good passer as well. She knows how to control the offense, control the game. That huge NC State game she had in the fourth quarter, in the two overtimes. But I think it really helps everybody out on the court if they have Nika Mule out there in terms of the defensive perspective of things. Nika just brings a different type of intensity, and everybody feeds off of her intensity, especially on the defensive side of things.
Okay. And how about time for one more, Ryan? We will go to, there was a name here. How about Rachel Fight? I believe that's how you say her last name. I apologize if that's not how you say it. Rachel goes, Gino should try to get Rivers from South Carolina out of the portal. Apparently, according to ESPN, UConn is on her short list of schools she'd be interested in going to. That's the kind of player they could really use in addition to what they'll already have. We'll have to look into that one, Ryan, because that's interesting. So, yeah, a lot of names, being brought up that are not yet in UConn.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of players in that transfer portal that will love to come to UConn and try to help this team win. But yeah, I mean, I think UConn's pretty solid. I'd like to see them get another guard because right now it's only Beckers, Fudd, Ducharme, and Nika Mule. And of course, the bigs down lower, the forwards. You got Haas, Edwards, DeBerry, Griffin, and of course Lou, and then the two recruits, Ice Brady and Ayanna. So I think there's a lot more forwards and bigs, down low that UConn has. But I'd like to see them get possibly another guard. But I think they're pretty good where they are. So I wouldn't be mad if they don't get another transfer. But you can never have too many players as we saw last season.
One more, because this one caught my eye. It's just above Rachel's comment. Tom Kibble, you guys, and you're not alone, in parentheses, have a tendency to forget about or just ignore the importance of defense to Gino. Almost no one gets court time in stores unless they are at least adequate defensively. Oh, very, very strong comment. Ryan, what do you have to say about that one?
Yeah, and I know I talked about how much Gino likes passing in his offense, but I'm glad you brought that up about defense because that's huge. That's I think Gino would much rather prefer defense over offense. So, and that's why I keep saying about Nika Mule because of her defensive intensity and how much she helped the team last year in terms of her defense. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because I think that's going to be the two factors. What Gino likes in these summer workouts and throughout the practices leading up to the regular season. It's going to be about defense and it's going to be about passing in the offense. So whatever, whoever he likes the most and whoever he thinks can click with the other players in the lineup, that's who he's going to give the nod to.
All right. With that said, I said Kibble. I think it's Tom Kib or Kibby. So Tom Kibby. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. With that said, Ryan, we will move on to the last recruit, and that would be Ayanna Patterson. Again, we appreciate everybody that came through on the last video. I mean, that was big time support, and we cannot thank you enough for the love and support. As again, the UConn Huskies welcome Lou Lopez. I can't wait to see her arrive in stores. Ryan, with that said, what do you have for Patterson? She is ranked the top recruit, one of the top recruits out of the class of 2022. She's already received a number of postseason accolades, and including Indiana Miss Basketball that I saw. And then how about she capped off her high school career averaging about 25 points, 11 rebounds, about 2 blocks for the Spartans. We like to see them blocks go up even more, huh? With the gentleman's comment we just read, because, hey, defense, that's true. I mean, defense is important. We talk about how much these players has the ability to shoot the basketball, because if you can't shoot the basketball, you probably won't last long in college or professional. But again, he brought up a good point. Defense, Ryan. And then Homestead, she's out of Kentucky. All right. So she's out of Kentucky. And then this goes, Homestead went 23-2, and Patterson won a 4th straight sectional championship. Oh man. And you know, what stood out to me again on the last video, we ended it as, Ryan, is this a new era? You know, is she bringing something to women's basketball that we don't see every day? And that is dunks.
Yeah, I saw that in her highlight reel that she was dunking the basketball, putting up, jumping and putting 2 hands and slamming the basketball down. So that's definitely something that you don't see a lot, especially in women's college basketball. So that's another exciting thing to add to Miss Patterson's resume. But 6'2" forward from Homestead High School. I actually have her from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I think you said Kentucky, but I have,
Indiana, that's my fault. I was thinking
yeah,
about somebody else. That's
yeah,
my fault there.
yeah, Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana. So Patterson, considered by many scouts as an ultra athletic prospect who is a superb rebounder with a high motor. She can also dunk, which is, you know, something we don't see at all in women's college basketball. Developing her outside shot, I saw as well from the 3-point line. We talked about how important that is for UConn to have bigs that can shoot the 3. Dorka with the 3-point shot, and now bringing 2 new recruits at Ice and Ayanna that have, you know, the potential to develop their 3-point shot, just going to make them more deadly in that UConn offense. So, and UConn's goal for 2022 was to get a couple of recruits to have size, play multiple positions, and that's exactly what they did by getting Ice Brady, who's 6'3", and Patterson, who's 6'2".
Yeah, and you know, I'm just now thinking about this. I think it's important to consider, and it works either way in your favor. It definitely works in UConn's favor still, even though they don't lose a lot or have the potential to lose a lot of ball games during the regular season or in the playoffs. With that said, I like the fact that whether you have losing season, which we don't expect that for a long time to come, huh? We don't want to talk about that because there's too many people fired up in UConn and stores. But whether you have a losing season with a terrible record or a great season, in this case, even if you have a great season and closer ball games, your recruits and your newer players are probably most likely not seeing a lot of time because of as long as your players don't get into foul trouble a lot during the game and other players had to come off the bench. But I think that's the comfort. I never thought about it that way. I think that the comfort that this coaching staff has in UConn, along with Gino, they had the tendency and the ability to sit back and relax more when they have what we call them blowout games during the regular season. And I think that's very important because it gives even if your players do not have how many fouls it take? 5 fouls to check out?
Yeah, 5.
With that said, you know, whether you have a losing season or blowout games, you have that ability, Ryan, and more comfort to bring those newer players get to see more playing time off the bench, especially in the games that you're up big toward the end of the game.
Yeah, and we talked about that in March Madness last season when Dorka went out. The first thing I said was, how is UConn going to play if Olivia Nelson-Adota or Aaliyah Edwards fouls out of the game? You know, now who are they going to bring in? So it's really important to have depth at really any position because injuries can happen. Anything can happen throughout the whole season. You know, so it's always good to have depth at every position. But I mean, I think for the key, I mean, like I've been mentioning, I think UConn get another transfer who's a guard. But with Ice Brady and you know, now with Ayanna playing multiple positions, I think they can be shifted around in the lineup, give UConn a lot of flexibility. But just, you know, I worry about injuries, but it can happen to every single team. So just part of the game, we have to deal with it. And we can only hope no one gets injured.
Yeah, well, you're right there. So again, Ayanna Patterson, she comes on a number 4, Ryan, on the list of players for the class of 2022. I mean, if you look, I think it's interesting. You get numbers 4 and 5. ESPNW ranked Patterson number 4, and then Brady was at number 5. So I think that's interesting. How many times do you really see that back-to-back players on the list, and they're both going to UConn, number 4 and number 5. Usually it's a little gap in between. Usually you're getting one of the top 5 players and then maybe one of the lower bottom 20 or in the top 20, maybe numbers 5 through 10. But man, and this just goes to show you how strong the recruiting process is at UConn, because you get number 4 on the list and then you check in at number 5. There's no gap in between. You're number 4 and you're number 5.
Yeah, and 2 top 5s. It's huge.
Yeah.
Definitely exciting. Brings a lot of excitement to the new regular season. Of course, the new transfer, Lou, getting Aubrey Griffin back from surgery. So, and of course, Dorka too. So it's going to be a lot of returning players. I think 8 or 9 returning players. But we also have a lot of new faces to see what they're capable of. And it's definitely going to be exciting.
That's it. That's what we have for you. We have completed this series on Listen Up. All 4 recruits from the class of 22 and then 23. I know I checked in with actually one player's head coach from high school, and she is actually supposed to make an appearance on this podcast. Not promising anything right now, Ryan, but again, we are very excited to see what that holds. And if that happens, we all know that you can't wait. And we can't wait. Ryan, we're going to take a long weekend off. I know I'm not going to say that you deserve it, because I'm always trying to work you harder and harder each week and get you prepared for these episodes. But hey, I can't complain because you're doing a pretty good job so far.
Well, I appreciate that. I try my best. So
you're saying, Phil, shut up right now. All right. With that said, Ryan, we will head out. Is there any last words that you want to take before we wrap up this series?
No last words. I think if I had to say something, I'd just say, excited for Ice Brady and Ayanna to come through to UConn. I expect them to work hard when they get the UConn and try to just give it their all, give Gino their all. And I'm excited to see who Gino is going to put in that starting lineup, because I'm sure we're gonna keep on debating it until that first game of the regular season.
Yep, that's for sure. And we're going to keep debating all weekend, Ryan, even though that we're taking a long weekend off. It's Phil and Ryan. Listen Up. We will see you guys next week again. Thank you for all the love and support. Ryan, I'm checking out.